It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's Expresso on S3 and World Cancer Day. It is an international day marked on the 4th of February to raise awareness around cancer and to encourage its preventions, detection and treatment. This morning, we are joined by oncologist Dr. Imran Parker to unpack this very important health topic. Dr. Parker, welcome to Expresso.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for having us. I love the fact that we're doing it 3 days early to, again, like Zoe said, prevention is always the best cure for this. But let's go to the physiological side of it. What happens when cancer first starts entering the body?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. Cancer is basically uncontrolled cell growth. So for some reason, we don't understand why that is, but these cancer cells don't stop growing. And as they start continuing growing, they spread and they metastasize. So the later the patients present, the harder it is to actually treat them. And as Zoe was saying, prevention is the best thing. The earlier we catch it, the better it is, the better the outcomes.
Now, Dr. Park, I also wanted to know from you, I know lifestyle plays a very big role.
Yes.
And those who, what are some of the things they need to look out for in terms of their current lifestyle? Be like, oh, maybe I need to go for a checkup. Maybe it's time for me to head to the doctor.
That's the first thing, always check up. So ideally once a year you should have your checkups. Lifestyle changes would be things such as diet, exercise, good healthy lifestyle. That's what we're aiming, that's what we're advocating for. With certain cancers, we know there are precautions you can take. For example, breast cancer, women over the age of 40, we're advised please go for mammograms on a routine basis. Males over the age of 40 as well, and I see quite a few over here. I'm not going to mention that. But prostate cancer is a big one. So yeah, once a year, we don't like that examination. We've got to use the finger. And the PSA, colonoscopies for over 45. So all those form part of the preventative measures. The earlier we detect these cancers, the better it is.
Cancer's always been one of those things that really has me afraid because my gran passed away from it. Does genetics play a factor when,
Sure.
being able to get cancer?
Sorry to hear about your gran, but yes, certain cancers, genetics are important, but majority of the cases, no. So if we take breast cancer, which is the commonest cancer amongst women, 5% of all breast cancers are genetic. That means that 95% of them are not genetic at all. And that 5%, we know what are the genes. So patients who present at a younger age and who have a family history, we advise those patients to go for genetic counseling and genetic testing.
And then, Dr. Parker, are you guys finding that these days there are more and more cancer diagnosis, or do you think it's just a case of in the past people didn't really think of getting themselves tested or going to the doctor to really find out the true condition?
Good question. I think it's a combination of everything. I think unfortunately our lifestyles at the moment, we lead a very high stressful lifestyle. We consume lots of inorganic foods, a lot of preservatives in our foods, a lot of junk food as such, all of it which has a role in the development of cancer. Patients are also coming early, coupled with the population of the world and the country also expanding. So yes, cancer is going to expand, unfortunately.
Here's the thing, we also hear a lot about stages, like stage 1 cancer, stage 4. How is that then determined? I know we're going to also go into the treatment options a bit later on, but let's speak about those stages. How is that determined?
It's very easy. So a stage 1 and a stage 2 cancer, those would be cancers that are confined to the organ as such. So let's use the breast as examples because it's the commonest cancer. So we would say a stage 1 and a stage 2 cancer would be confined only to the breast and determining on the size. Okay. Stage 3 would be if it involves the lymph nodes, those are the glands under the arm, and stage 4 would be if it's metastatic. So now we're looking at the cancer cells that have moved to the lungs or the liver or the bones or anywhere else in the body. And that's so vital because the higher the stage, the lesser the chance of a cure. Okay. So when we get to stage 4 cancer, cure is not an option. It is what we would say treatable, but not curable.
Okay. Well, Dr. Imran Parker is not going anywhere as we talk ahead of World Cancer Day. That's on the 4th of February. We're going to be getting into more questions, especially around treatment options, so don't go anywhere.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Health Tuesdays here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It is World Cancer Day, and it is marked annually on the 4th of Feb to raise awareness around cancer prevention, diagnosis, as well as treatment. Now, we are continuing our discussion with oncologist Dr. Imran Parker as we now move on to the treatment processes a patient may go through once receiving a cancer diagnosis. Thank you, Dr. Imran, for staying with us. Two buzzwords when it comes to cancer is chemo as well as radiation. Okay, what is radiation? What does this mean, and what does it entail for patients when they need to go through this?
Sure. So if you think about it, radiation could be focused on one particular part of the body. If you have a mass in the lung, we can focus some radiation on that spot. Chemotherapy is given systemically. So what that means is we put up a little drip, it's intravenously, and it goes through the entire system. So chemotherapy works better when you have or you're worried about metastatic cancer deposits throughout the body, whereas radiation, you're focusing on one spot, one specific spot only.
Okay, so what will determine, or who will determine whether a patient needs chemo or whether a person needs radiation?
Sure. So that is determined by the type of cancer they have, as well as the stage of cancer in which they have. So if we have generally, most cases, we only have an early cancer, we would only do radiation. If we have an advanced cancer, such as metastatic breast cancer or metastatic lung cancer, meaning stage 4, we then opt for chemotherapy, because now we've got multiple lesions throughout the body that we actually want to go ahead and treat.
Now, there's also something called different forms or different types of radiation therapies for different patients. Explain a bit more on that and expand on what that actually means for the patient as well.
Sure. So we've got what we call brachytherapy, and then we have external beam. So the difference between the two is that with brachytherapy, we insert radioactive seeds within the body. So we reserve that for patients with prostate cancer, and we can insert up to 60 to 100 radioactive seeds within the prostate itself. The alternative is what we call the external beam machine. That's the big, massive machine where patients lay on the bed and radiation moves. It's focused on one particular part of the body, but it's a massive machine which is utilized.
Now, we said, prevention is the best part for this. Is there anything that you can do prior to even getting a diagnosis of cancer, or any form of treatment that you can undergo before even having the diagnosis that you have cancer?
No treatment as such is going to prevent the diagnosis of cancer, but prevention is what we're talking about. So it's regular checkups, regular blood tests, going for your mammograms, going for colonoscopies, looking for the signs that cancer may be there or signs of something being wrong. So we look at specifically loss of appetite, loss of weight. If you feel a lump in the breast, in your neck, under your arm, in the groin, go and see someone about it. Colon cancer presents with change in bowel habits, so blood in the stool or change in the habits. With the bladder cancers, could be a bit of blood in the urine. So really it is organ dependent, and we're looking at what is changing in your normal daily routine in the body.
Something you mentioned earlier, there's no cure, but there are treatments, and obviously there's a new developing way of treatments in there. Two of them, biological therapy as well as immunotherapy. Tell us a bit more about these two treatments.
So chemotherapy is the old standard, and what we utilize there with chemo, it attacks everything in the body. It goes for all the rapidly dividing cancer cells and other cells as well. Immunotherapy and biological therapy are more targeted. So here we now sort of stimulate the immune system or downplay the immune system to also be in aid of the cancer. So we can upregulate your immune system to help fight those cancer cells in the process.
Dr. Imran, thank you so much for joining us for this Health Tuesdays. We also are going to be continuing this conversation, but of course, for any more information, it can be found at cancer.org.za. You can call the Cancer Help Desk on 0800 22 6622 to answer more of your questions as well.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, everybody. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, just in time to continue our health discussion this morning. Now, we know that a cancer diagnosis can definitely take a toll on a person's mental health. Now, this life-changing experience can include increased levels of anxiety, distress, as well as depression. It's important to recognize these changes and get help when needed. Now, this morning, we are joined by cancer warrior Alison Faraday, as well as well-known psychologist Hilton Calder from the Life Shine Wellness Center, as they discuss the formation of circles of healing. healing. I want to welcome both of you on the show this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alison, I'll start with you. I mean, you and Hilton joined this Circles of Healing just to give hope to people that is either suffering from cancer or any ill diseases. Tell us about why you started this and also what you're hoping to achieve with this platform.
So I am a stage 4 cancer survivor. I think of myself actually as a thriver rather than a survivor. And I met Hilton back in the day because he was my psychologist. And when I was going through the whole process of trying to figure out where my healing journey would lead me, having some psychological support was really, really important for me. And it gave me power and agency to take back some of the control. Because one of the things that happens to you when you are diagnosed is you really feel like your life has gone off the rails. It hasn't. There's a lot that you can still do. And I think our message is take back some of the control. Dr. Parker was speaking about making lifestyle changes. That's one of the first things that you can do. And you do still have agency, and there's a lot that you can do. And so we really started Circles of Healing so that we could formulate a circle of support for people who are going through this journey so that they can share. They can be their own kind of cheerleaders as well. You know, there's a lot that you can do as a cancer survivor.
And look at you now, inspiring the nation with your story. I mean, Hilton, it is lengthy. Sometimes it's tiring. People get overwhelmed by this. But there's obviously the mental aspect to it as well. What are some of the common mental health issues you see when people are going through treatment and cancer?
Yeah, just commenting on the long and lengthy process, it actually carries on forever. So you change the way you do it, but it's actually something you're going to be aware of for the rest of your life. Mental issues, obviously depression. Getting a diagnosis is not a nice thing. And generally we think of the diagnosis, many people think of it as a death sentence, which it isn't. It absolutely isn't. But that makes people become depressed. So anxiety levels go up, resulting in depression. We commonly talk about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Just the diagnosis can cause PTSD. But then the process you go through, because some of the treatments are tough, and that can cause PTSD. So we work with what the client presents. I don't like talking about patients. I talk about clients.
But let's talk about this little one over here, because this one it's part of the journey. It's part of, going through this with the clients and with the patients. Tell us what his job.
Yeah, he works with me at the Life Shine Clinic, but I've also introduced him to the people online with the Healing Circles. So he's just an naturally empathic little guy. He picks up people's feelings. He notices before I notice when they're upset, and he will actually go to them. He'll jump up. He has a habit of, when he talks to you, he'll
You want some time on TV as well.
and if Alison continued, he'd actually put his hands on her heart.
Oh, please.
So more than that, he's not really a trained circus dog, but I think people just feel comfortable. And it's nice having this energy, which is just pure and natural.
For sure. And Alison, I always speak about this on the show as well, is having your tribe. How important it's just having that level of support when you're going through what you're going through, like Circles of Healing, offering that support when you're going through these trying times.
It's absolutely crucial. I'm so glad you've mentioned that. I think one of the things that happens when you're diagnosed with cancer is you may feel a certain sense of shame or failure. That, why me? What did I do wrong? And I love the expression that says you're not responsible for your disease, but you are responsible to it. And one of the ways that you can be responsible to it is get the support you need. I say to my clients, because I'm a cancer coach as well, I say to my clients, play the cancer card. If you don't play it now, then when are you? Get the things that you need. If you want to do that thing, then do it. So ask for the support you need. But of course, that does assume that you know what it is that you need. So work out what it is that would help you in that situation. And I love that word, tribe. Reach out to your tribe. People want to help. They just need to know how.
Alison Hilton, thank you so much for coming here and just inspiring us all, of course, Circles of Healing has launched on the 25th of January. It is weekly online classes. Alison and Hilton will provide support as they share the shock of diagnosis and examines the importance of being that healing really is possible. And again, for more information on Circles of Healing, you can contact Alison. The number is on screen right now, or you can email Alison at thethrivelist.co.za.